Okay, so just talking about the Nirvana pin. So these are the makeup of the wall system. We draft and build all our walls to 16 inches thick. That gives you 8 inches of insulation maximum, 2 to 2.5 inches of exterior concrete layer, and this is going to be minimum of 6 inches, and if we have to make this 8 inches or 10 inches, then we just reduce the thickness of styrofoam. Now, what connects the outer layer, the veneer, to the structural layer are these connector ties, and there's various types and companies making these, but the nice thing about this is it's from Pultruded fiberglass, and the key is there's no thermal bridging. So back in the day, in the 70s, when they were trying and erroring this type of construction, they were using steel ties, and they did it in Saskatchewan, I think. And when it was minus 40 outside and 20 degrees inside, there was all these spots of moisture on the wall because the thermal transfer was cold and it was reaching the hot on the inside, and it looked like a frosted beer mug, like blotches everywhere. So that's exactly what you don't want, and that's why you have your thermal break of your insulation. And one of the great features of this system is the continuous wrap of insulation, and there's very, very minimal thermal bridging. If the highest point of thermal bridging would be on the 3/8 joints where the panels meet together, although it's an air gap in between, and then where the tiger lock is in the window, which also has a thermal rating as well. So very superior system for high performance building, especially in the Pacific Northwest, where the water and high humidities and the driving rains are all factoring into our building systems and low maintenance structures, which we like to call generational building. We don't, you want to be able to build something that's going to last many years, that you can hand down to your grandkids, and they can flourish from your wise choices. With the Nirvana pin, again, depending on thickness, so we've done some buildings where the energy models come back and it only requires 4 inches of insulation, and that'll because there's so much glazing. So then an engineer will tell you what spacing these Nirvana pins will be at, and you can get these pins at any length you would like. So we custom order them to the thickness of the insulation, and they typically sit 2 inches into each side of the concrete. Okay, so structural reinforcing in the insulated panels. The engineer will give you a grid layout, and the lift engineer will add to that engineering, so it's got structure for when it's lifting from the flex. You don't want the panel to fold up. So the structural rebar sits in the middle of the structural layer of concrete, and then in the exterior you got a few options. You can do just ordinary 6x6 remesh, you can do stainless remesh, and you can do just tough strand, which there's no remesh. And typically when we're building oceanfront properties, we're building with just a tough strand, a poly fiber mesh. So with the panels being made with the veneer layer down on the tables, the veneer exterior layer becomes that smooth layer that is on the epoxy finish, and that's sanded up to about 200 grit. Now you can have the interior sanded up, and you could flip it over and have the interior super smooth. Typically we're with the exterior down. When that is, and that's how, so typically we have the exterior layer down on the tables, and the the interior is finished by hand, so we can either have a power trail finish or a hand trail finish for the interior. When we're pouring these panels, we try and pour them in a sequence where all the panels are on the same elevation at once. And the reason for that is when you're pouring concrete, to get it very consistent in colour, you have to pour basically at the same day, same time, because there's different humidity, different temperatures, and that casting table is made of steel, so that would be a different temperature also. So you are out of control of what that finish or the colour of that finish will be. So we just try and sequence them so they're all matching in one elevation. With the interior, you can see on this model, you can paint it, you can colour the concrete, you can etch it, you can polish it. There's many finishes that you can do with the interior. Concrete, it just comes up with imagination. With the exterior, you can also colour it. We've used concrete graphic art, we've done board form, done some really cool stuff with board form where it's different thicknesses and different sizes. You could do patterns, you could throw, we've done bricks we've laid bricks into the wet concrete on the interior, stood it up as a brick wall. You could do steel shavings in the panel and then pour the wet concrete on it and then stand it up and it would start dripping steel. The finishing on the exterior and interior of the panels are limitless and they're not very expensive. It's just having a good imagination and a want to do it. And that's exciting to us with just so many different options you can do.